Welcome to the Binge Breakers podcast. I'm Jacqueline. I am here to teach you how I overcame bulimia and my binge eating disorder, and how you can too. Through simple steps of mind management, repairing your relationship with yourself, understanding your habits, and intuitive eating. Hey guys, I told you that there would be an extra piece of content coming out today, so I'm so excited to present to you an interview I did with Eleni Constantino. She is a friend that I found on Instagram who also has a lot of amazing insight to share on bulimia. She's gone through it, and today it's just an organic conversation between us, and she shares how she recovered from bulimia and her own stories. I hope that you enjoy listening to this, and I also hope that this interview can give you insight on someone else's story other than just mine. I think it's important that the more people talk about it, the better. And also, before you listen to this, I want you to know that this interview is actually on my YouTube channel as well and on my Instagram. So if you want to watch the interview and watch us talking together, you can also do that there instead of listening to it here. But obviously, you can listen to it here too. So anyway, I don't want to delay this anymore. I want you guys to enjoy the interview. So here you go. All right, hello everyone. We're here with Eleni Constantino, and I say that slowly because I was mispronouncing her name earlier, so bear with me guys. But this is a wonderful woman that I met on Instagram, and she has an amazing page about bulimia recovery. She struggled with herself, and now she is a food freedom coach to strengthen your recovery and help you overcome your eating disorder. So I thought having her on would be an amazing opportunity to share different perspectives, since you guys may be sick of hearing me talk each week. And I think that she has a great story to share. So I'm going to have you speak. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your story first. Like, what's your background with bulimia? If you could share that with us, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sure. So I became bulimic when I was 18. I basically went through a hard time with my parents divorcing. Some people might not understand that, but for me, I came from like a perfect family where, you know, mummy and daddy loved each other loads, and I kind of idolized that. And then at 18, to find that their relationship was crumbling, and really fortunately, up until I was 18, I never really had any real big problems. So to me, that was massive. So dealing with that, my way of dealing with it was to purge. And it took me about 3 months to realise I had an eating disorder. And when I realised, because sometimes you might think, like, how do you even recognise that you have it? I just noticed that it wasn't normal to be sick like 3 times a day. It wasn't normal, the thoughts I was having about food, because I never had them before. And I just remember Googling one day, you know, why am I being sick and what are the symptoms of purging and stuff. And then bulimia came up. And then when I looked, you know, at all the symptoms, I literally ticked every box. So that's when I noticed that I actually do have an eating disorder. And I do think that's the first step to recovery, is acknowledging, you know, that what you're doing isn't normal, and kind of facing up to it and saying that I don't want this anymore. So that's how, you know, my bulimia started, and that's how I noticed.
How did you, because yeah, I think what you said about like acknowledging it, that's a huge thing. People will contact me and they're like, I'm still struggling to even accept it. That's what, for me, when I was recovering, I really had to want the change, and I had to accept that like this was not for me anymore. How did you go about doing that? Was it like just you couldn't take it anymore, or what?
It was that, like, the fact that it isn't normal, you know, what I'm doing. It was like, is this me? Is this really what I'm doing? Because my whole life I'd never really had issues with food. I would eat what I wanted when I wanted. I wasn't always healthy. I would just eat what my mum cooked for me or whatever I fancied if I was out with friends. When we went to a restaurant, it was an issue. Just order what you like. You know, I would never think calories. I would never be afraid of carbs. I just never gave it any thought other than, what do I want to eat? So when that became a problem, when going out for dinner became a problem, when I had anxiety about it, when eating a banana, I'll never forget eating a banana because it wasn't planned. I was just kind of hungry, ate a banana. I was like, what have I done? ran to the toilet and tried to puke it out. And then sometimes you'd find that you can't actually get it out because there's not enough food in there. So then you eat more, and then just to get all of that out. And it was just, I couldn't live life like that. I was literally spend a day just being sick, eating and being sick. And it was like, this is a problem. I need to solve it. But it was it took me 9 years to recover. And the reason why I think it took me so long is because A, I didn't come to peace with the problem. And I think B, I didn't know how to find another way of dealing with my stresses and stuff. That was all I knew. So breaking that habit was really hard. And they're my two reasons, really. And I think coming to peace with what caused it is a big thing for people. And yeah, I think both of them actually to work on.
With coming to peace with things, like, I think it's interesting. I think I have a little bit different of a philosophy with you, but I agree that to come to peace with things, you need to like just accept it, and you need to stop arguing with reality, right? So for you, it was a divorce with your parents.
Exactly that, because I haven't spoke to my dad about it. I was the one that was trying to like keep everyone together. I'm like a pleaser. I'm a peacemaker. My sister's very like, if you make her unhappy, she's telling you about it. She doesn't care the consequence. She's very like that. So we're quite opposite like that. So where her and my dad would like clash, I'm there trying to put the pieces together. And there came a point where I was trying to help them, and then it didn't work, and then I got the backlash of it from my dad. And from that day I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I have to let this go. And by doing that, unfortunately, I had to let my dad go. And some people might judge me from that, but when you do that with someone and your own father doesn't try to get you back as their daughter, then you just think, my decision there was the right one. And it was a big part of my recovery. And he pushed me, like, that wasn't just that, there was loads of other little things that he'd done, but that alone was like, do you know what, I can't do this anymore. You are bringing me so far down that I'm important, you know. And I had to make that decision. So I never actually got to talk to him about it. He doesn't know that I'm bulimic. He doesn't know the struggles I went through. I never got to talk about our relationship or the relationship with family or anything like that. But I just came at peace with reality, like you said, and was like, you know what, I just need to move on. I need to focus on me and make me a better person. And then my way of correcting that part of my life is like for my future kids, when I have children, that, you know, I'll do my best to make sure that, you know, as a family, we're very honest with each other, and we don't let our children think that, you know, life is what, you know, like, we're just honest and real. And then, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a dangerous game. Like, I think a lot of parents want to protect their kids from things to the degree that they shelter them a bit too much, and then kids think everything's perfect, or they think that I kind of grew up in a household, and this is no diss to my parents, where sometimes we just didn't talk about things. And I know they did their best. I know they tried, but that's not, it's much better just to be honest and real. It might be uncomfortable, but that's what you got to do. And it's funny, well, it's not really funny. I got a very long email this morning, actually, and I had just talked in a recent episode about accepting reality and also telling someone, like trying to tell someone in your life that's supportive. And I said, like, generally people are going to be supportive, or if they're not, just kind of accepting it and letting it go. And this person told me that she had told her long-term husband or boyfriend, I'm not sure, about her eating disorder, and they had a really unhealthy relationship to begin with, and he held it against her, like complete opposite. So I think your lesson is kind of really important for people to hear, because it's like, you cannot change people, and you just, like, whatever they're going to do, you have to just let it go and accept it. So I think that's wonderful.
It is, because if I'm honest, being able to do that, it made me be stronger in the sense where anyone in life, they are treating me a certain way that, and I'm not just saying they might upset me. I'm someone who I'll go to and I'll tell you, and I'm very open as a friend. But if I've had a friend basically once that I felt like was just too much. I carry the evil eye with me. It's an orthodox belief, if you like, where there's two parts of like jealousy. There's like jealousy and envy. So jealousy where if someone say sees my hair and they're like, oh wow, I love your hair, but inside their head they're thinking, I don't know if we can swear, but they're like cussing me down and being like, oh, why she got hair like that and I don't, you know? But then you've got the good envy where it's like someone will say, I love your hair, but inside they think she's so lucky, like how pretty is she with that hair? You know, there's like two ways. So the evil eye, in my belief, kind of blocks off the bad energy and it keeps that bad energy away from me. So I had this friend around me that I literally felt like I had to have the evil eye on me because there was just this jealousy about her. We had similar upbringings, and I could just feel that because I was more free in my family where she wasn't, I just felt that energy. So I basically had to cut that off, and it caused other consequences. But that relationship with my dad, being able to cut that off and going, do you know what, I'm better than this, I deserve more, that self-love right there has allowed me in my life so far to do that with other people. You know, I've been, if I feel this isn't correct and we are better off separate, I found it easier to do that because I'm like, if I can do it with my own flesh and blood, then why would I not do it with you, you know?
Right. And I think part of that came from you, like you have a level of respect for yourself now. And I think that's where a lot of people in recovery or when they're struggling with bulimia or eating disorders is they don't have a lot of love for themselves. And
exactly, they don't, yeah. They don't feel deserving and they should.
Right. Can I ask how you came to that self-love kind of state? Because I'm sure at some point you weren't there. Like, is there any specific things that you did to get there?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I look back at photos now, and I'll remember exactly how I felt, and I'll remember like how horrible I felt about myself, how low self-confidence I had, and things like that. And I was always conscious about my body image and you know how I felt fat, and I would compare myself to say a slimmer friend, and I would still think, no, a friend that was like maybe the same size or a bit bigger, and I would still think that I was bigger. Like I literally had body dysmorphia badly. And yeah, so the way I came over it, it was like over a whole journey. So it was about when I was 24, so I became bulimic at 18. About when I was 24, when I graduated from university, I moved to Manchester and I joined a gym there, and I just had this whole, no one knows me, so I can go to the gym and I can make a mistake and no one's going to judge me. It's okay because no one knows me. So I don't know why that was an issue, because now I don't care, you know, where I live. I live where grew up, but I don't really care what people think like that. I'll just do my thing. But in Manchester, so in the beginning of the journey, I joined a gym and I just started classes because I didn't know what to do. Started classes and built up my confidence that way, and you know, made a few friends here and there. And then I started looking at YouTube at different exercises you could do. So then I took it into the gym on my own, and I started doing a bit of cardio, a little bit of weights, and then I saw my strength grow, and I liked that feeling. And then I saw my body change. You know, I was losing weight, I was toning up, and I liked that too. And I started to enjoy the fact that, hold on a minute, I am in control. I'm in control of shaping my body. You know, people with eating disorders, they'll be afraid of carbs or they'll be afraid of eating chocolate cake, but they can't understand moderation, and they can't understand that if you have cake, it's okay, you're not going to get fat. But yes, if you have a whole binge on cake consecutively, yeah, you're going to put on weight. You know, it's about understanding it, but it's also about being ready to understand it as well. So then after I got into like the gym a bit more, I then looked into food prepping. So I started to, you know, look at my height in comparison to my weight, in comparison to my activity level and my age and all of that. And then it gave me what like my diet macro should be. So from that, I then went into meal prepping. I didn't always stick to it. I'd sometimes pick here and there. Obviously, I'd still go out for dinner and it'd be too much and I'd purge. I'd have my meal plan, but then I'd get stressed and I'd purge. I'm not saying I was fine then. I'm just saying that helped me understand food a bit more and be okay. You know, if I've planned the next couple of days, I know I'm going to be okay. It was like that kind of eased me into it. And then from there, people started noticing the changes, and they started saying, why don't you think of going into bodybuilding? And I used to put it off for about a year. I was like, no, that's not me. Me on a stage in a bikini. Are you great? Like, no. And I used to always put it off. And then after a while, I thought, I'm going to look into it. So I went to the Body Power Expo in Birmingham, which is a huge bodybuilding exhibition. And I got talking to people there. Then I started looking for a coach. Then I continued with the gym, you know, built up my my strength. And it was, everyone was like, you basically understand food and you're okay with, you know, being strict. You're okay with spending a lot of time in the gym. Why wouldn't you take it to the next step? So I just thought, okay, let's give this a shot. And bodybuilding, it kind of helped me where I had someone telling me what to eat, that it was okay. You know, she said eat, you know, 1, 2, 3 to 5, and I stuck to it. Now, during my bodybuilding, she didn't know this. I didn't want to get judged by her, as no one other than really close to me knew that I was bulimic. And at the time, I should have told her, but I was too afraid that I would be judged. I was too afraid that she wouldn't want to coach me. She would say, no, this isn't healthy. You're not getting on stage. So I didn't tell her. And throughout my competitions, I was bulimic. I just wasn't as bad. It would be like once a week, or if she gave me a cheat meal, I would eat it, then feel guilty and then purge or whatever. But that really helped me. And then I got to a point where I just got sick of being sick, you know, like I started, like my stress would be going to the gym, you know, so if I got stressed out, I'd go to the gym and then I'd feel good about myself. And yeah, so I think it was just a combination of things. It was like so many years on, I was just sick of it, and I had to change like my career. So I'm very into hospitality at the moment, and I had to move away from hotels and being around food and beverage and restaurants and be more office based. That is not me. I'm very a people person, and yeah. So it was kind of, you know, and it's like my whole life is revolved around this. I have to change it. I can't. And I always used to say as well, like I wouldn't ever want to have children until I've sorted this out. I wouldn't want to be sick while I'm pregnant. I just wouldn't want anything like that to happen. So yeah, and then it got to the point where I met my partner, and I remember when we met, and we just got talking because he knows I'm into bodybuilding and he's a personal trainer, and he was saying like, oh, I could never be with someone with an eating disorder. And I just crumbled inside. I was like, how do I tell him? I can't ever tell him this. And then I thought, I have to fix it because people will pick up on it. Because as secretive as we are, they could pick up on it. I don't know, the smell in the toilet, or the fact that I've just eaten all of that and I haven't put weight. I don't know. I just thought he's going to pick up on it. So when we first met, there was times where I would be sick, and from purging, I would get like scars on my knuckles from forcing my hand down my mouth, that my teeth would scratch it. And I remember he'd be like, oh, if you grab my hand once, it's like, did you burn yourself? And I was like, yeah, that's it. And I just couldn't tell him. Or like I'd get, you know, like blood dots around my eyes, and he would be like, oh, what have you eaten? What are you allergic to? And you feel bad because you're thinking, I'm lying to someone that I love, but I can't tell them, because what if they walk away because they said that they couldn't be with someone with an eating disorder? So it literally took about 5 years into me knowing him, where I just got to a point where I thought, I'm just gonna have to tell you, because this is me. I have to be honest, and if you don't like that, then you need to go, because this is me. But then when I told him, he wouldn't accept that that's me. It was like, no, that isn't you. That's just, and he made me. He did help a lot. He made me realize like that is a habit that you need to break. Like if we're gonna work, you need to stop it, because that's gonna get in the way of a relationship. You know, it was like, I can't go to restaurants and you're worrying about what you've eaten. You need to enjoy food. And he has this whole different mentality about food where he eats for pleasure, and he sees it as, yes, eat that donut, but then go in the gym and exercise it off and turn that into muscle. You know, he's got this whole different way of thinking that has been so uplifting for me, and it's helped me so much with my whole image of food and knowledge on it, that him saying that, I was just like, do you know what, this is someone that loves me, believes in me, and just knows that I'm better than this is right. And it went from stop being sick for him to then for me. So I stopped in like May, and then 5 months later we had this massive argument, and I was like, right, I'm gonna be sick. And I ate my feelings, and I remember standing over that toilet and being like, Eleni, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Like, he doesn't care. He's not, well, he did care, but what I mean is, like, you're hurting yourself. You're not hurting anyone else. You've just done this to yourself. And it was a whole realization of, what are you doing? This isn't fun anymore. You don't want to do this. And I remember being sick, and then he sat down and we spoke about it. And since that day, I get times where I might overeat, but there is just no chance I'm going to be sick, because I've understood now I'm letting myself down, and I don't want to feel that guilt, you know?
Right. I think it's interesting that he said too, he disagreed, and he was like, that isn't you. You know, it's just something that you're doing, which I think is really important to associate with. Like, people identify with bulimia, and I like that you phrase it as I was sick, instead of, and I just phrase it as like, I used to binge and purge, I used to be bulimic, that kind of thing. But like, you associate it as I was sick, or this was something, it was an external thing. And I think that's really important to associate. You are not your disorder. And I even think, while it is an eating disorder, like, saying it's a disorder kind of puts all this importance around it, and like, no, it's just a habit, and it's something that you're doing, it's not you. And so I love that he was able to say that.
Like, did you ever call your eating disorder a name? Like, was it ever like an alter ego to you, like another?
Yeah, well, I was through, when I first kind of was heavily into my eating disorder, I started listening to a lot of books, and one, I forget her name, but she has this famous eating disorder book where she really dramatizes her anorexia and bulimia, and I think she called it a name, and I thought about doing it. I kind of said it was like the monster within me, but I eventually stopped that. It just didn't suit my personality. I'm not a very dramatic person, so that might be why too. But no, I never really ended up calling it that. I just thought it was me and me alone, and technically it is. But the good thing about that is, like, it means that you do have control and you can stop it. It's a choice, you know, and people don't like to hear that. And you shouldn't feel guilty because it's a choice. You should just know, like, yeah, it's a choice and you can stop. It's just hard.
Yeah, so this is what my partner said. So he was like, you are making a choice. There's a choice when you have that argument, that debate in your head. There's that, say, if you want to call it your eating disorder, and then there's you having that conversation. Then, if the second stage is you'll go to eat something, but as you're eating it, there's a thought process to it. You know, you're going to grab the biscuit, say, then you're eating one, you're eating two, and you know the conscious you is going, this is bad, you're going to end up being sick. No, you really need to stop. And then the other side, the eating disorder side, is like, yeah, one more, just go on, just eat the whole pack. That's what's happened. This is what's happening. So my partner was like, it is a process. You know, there are stages, and you are in control. You have to stop at some point before you get to that toilet. And even when you get to the toilet to be sick, you can still go, no, do you know what, I'm not going to do it. And that helped me really understand, because I thought, do you know what, I am in control. I'm just choosing to let it win, and I need to stop it at some point. So there'll be points where I'd almost go to be sick, and I'm like, no, I can't. Or there'll be points where, like, I've done it recently, like this past month, where I'll be upset about something, and I've gone downstairs and I've just picked something, and I'm sitting there and I'm doing it, and I'm like, Eleni, this isn't good. You're gonna hate yourself for the day. Like, you just don't do it. Just stop. What are you doing? And I literally put it all away, and I was like, oh, that's so silly, and I'll walk away, because I know, I recognise that I'm eating my feelings. And then when I talk about it and I say, oh my God, like, am I recovered? Because I still have these thoughts. And then I think, Eleni, you're human. You know, it's easy to get caught up with, I was bulimic and I still have these thoughts. Am I recovered? But it's like, yes, a normal person who's never had an eating disorder, I'm sure they still go to McDonald's, they're queuing up, they're thinking, I really shouldn't be eating this. No, I said I'd start a diet, and now I'm cheating on the diet. then they'll buy it, then they'll eat it, and they'll feel guilty. Do they have an eating disorder? No, they just tucked into a little guilty pleasure, and then they got over it, but they still had that thought process, you know? So there's that whole thing of going, yes, I am recovered, and it's okay that I still have these thoughts, and I still can emotionally eat. You know, if I'm upset, I might eat a chocolate bar to make me happy in that one moment, and that's okay, you know?
I think it's important just to not beat yourself up in the process. And I like that you're like, I went downstairs and I started doing it. And then it's like, no, what are you doing? And you said, like, that's silly. And I think that's like the point you want to get to, because a lot of people, when they make those mistakes, they're like, of course I did this. I'm such a failure. Like, you know, it's never going to end. And it's like, those thoughts aren't useful. Like, stop thinking that and stop choosing to think it. And I still have thoughts like that too. Like, the other week or something, I just had like the urge to do it like 3 days in a row. I was like, you could do that right now and it wouldn't matter. You're stressed out. What does it matter? And it's like, and you know how to recover again. It's just like a really strange thought for me. It's like, no, it's like a crazy person that I remind you, like, no, we're not gonna do that.
That's the person. That is the person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did call mine another name. Not many people know about it, but I did call mine another name. I don't know why, but she had a name, and I was like, she is the evil side. I don't like her. And yeah, I've had people that do know the name. I've had someone once before being nasty and be like, oh, you know, she's going to come after you. And I remember thinking, like, oh my, are we really stooping to that level? You know, so yeah, I gave mine another name.
Well, I think well, you don't have to give it a name. I think
no, you don't have to.
That separates it in a way. I think it can go 2 ways. I think it can be good if it makes it let the person know that, like, this isn't you, this is something else. But then I think it can be dangerous because then people can be like, this is a part of me I can't control. So it depends. For you, it seemed like it was helpful. I think it just depends on how you look at it. What was the name, if I can ask?
It was Montiel.
Montiel.
Yeah, really weird. But it's like, for me, I hear what you're saying, but for me, because she was a different person, it was like I can control her because she is not me, you know? It was like that kind of thought I had.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's all about how you look at things and how you should do it.
Yeah, perspective, it's true.
Yeah. I was going to look at my notes real quick because I feel like there's something else I wanted to ask you. But my notes are all just scribble, so I guess it doesn't matter. So you talk about that you were having trouble with, like, in your relationships, right? And your boyfriend even said, like, I could never date someone with an eating disorder. And your years of kind of, maybe not years, but you're with him and you're like keeping the secret. What was it like for your relationship, and like how much better did it get after you told him?
Well, it was hard because I think many people that suffer with an eating disorder, they don't really talk, which is why I was so shocked when I did start the Instagram. I thought, oh, there's a whole platform here. Like, people do talk about it. Like, that's great. I think that's amazing. Anyone out there with an eating disorder talking about it and being open and helping others, great job. You know, I did not realize there was that platform out there. And what was the question? Because I've gone off track in my head. Oh, about my partner. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. So I would shut off. So if I felt, you know, awful from being sick, I would be like, right, I want to end the day. And I would literally end the day. I would shut my phone off and I would just go to bed and I wouldn't talk about it. My mum would feel so helpless because she would know, from the wrappers in the bin or just from the way that I would shut off. And she would want to talk about it, but because she knew I wouldn't, it was hard. And that's what I did with my partner in the beginning. So I would be sick and then I'd close off my phone and then respond in the morning. And he'll be like, well, where did you go? What's up? And I'd be like, oh, I fell asleep. But he wouldn't get it. And he'd be like, well, why is she being like this? And why is she, you know, locking me up and not talking and so on. So then when I finally confessed and I was like, listen, all them nights that I just closed my phone and didn't talk to you this morning, that's why. And then it kind of made sense for him because at the time he didn't understand. So I think that's where it got better. And when I did first tell him, he was very like, don't know how long it lasted for, but it was only a short while. But he would text me, making sure I'm okay. You know, I'd go out for food with him, and he'd, like, if I went to the toilet, he'd be like, "Is everything okay? Like, you've been longer than 2 minutes." Like, you know, he'd be very worried. And I remember saying to him, like, you need to stop this. Like, I'm okay. You know, I will talk to you when I'm sick, if I'm sick, and I don't want to be sick anymore. Like, we just had to have that conversation. And then he just went fine with it. It's absolutely fine. I mean, we'll go out for food sometimes. Not recently, obviously, because of lockdown, but ages ago, I would go for food, and I would maybe panic a bit if I looked at the menu and I'd be like, "Oh my god, like, I didn't realise it was all fried food," you know. But he be like, "It's okay, like, take your time," and he's quite patient with me like that. And he understands that I'd like to look at a menu before we go for food, and you know, and he gets it. Like, if we go out for drinks, I'll choose like 0-calorie soft drinks and things like that, and I'm quite careful with my cocktails. But that's just because, not because I'm worried I'm going to be sick after. That's just because I personally don't see the point in having Coke then Coke Zero. Like, why would you drink Coke when you can have Coke Zero? And I personally enjoy eating clean and healthy food because I feel so good inside. So, like, he might enjoy pizzas twice a week. I don't, and it's not because if I eat pizza, it's in fear that I will be sick. It's mainly, maybe it's in fear that I will get fat, but it's also, I just don't want that inside of me. It's not going to make me feel any better. And when I do eat bad food, it's just genuine because I want to taste that food. You know, a burger does sometimes taste better than chicken breast and rice, you know. So that's why I'm quite careful with my food. It's not because I'm afraid of being sick. It's just I feel better when I eat well.
I think
so
that's sorry, my bad.
It's okay.
No, I think that's a good point, because a lot of people in recovery, again, this might be a bit controversial, but it seems like I understand some people need to gain weight to be at a healthy range, but people think, I think a big fear of people trying to recover is that if they recover, they're going to gain a bunch of weight and they're only going to eat foods that maybe aren't healthy, like, because they just have no restriction. But I think, and what you've done is, there's a way to have a healthy lifestyle and not binge and eat and be at a body weight that you desire, as long as it's within a healthy parameter. Obviously, I think that goes without saying that you want to be at a healthy body weight. But were there any tips for you with, like, choosing healthy foods and then also enjoying some foods in moderation that you give? Because, like, my tips are always like, start adding in healthy foods and not getting rid of bad foods. And so the more and more you add bad foods in, I know that they're not good and bad, but, you know, like, the more times you can add some broccoli alongside your pizza, then you're eating some healthy foods without even trying. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah, you see, I think, like, I put a post on, I think the other day or yesterday, but it was like, allow yourself to eat foods. And when you say bad foods, I think it's more foods that people are scared of. So for me, I had like no control on peanut butter. Like, the peanut butter in the cupboard downstairs was talking to me, like, no joke. And there was like no peace in my head. Like, now I can have peanut butter in the house and I could not open it for 3 weeks. And that won't even cross my mind, you know. And it only crosses my mind when I realise, like, wow, I've actually come quite far, because I didn't think I could ever be normally peanut butter. And I see that everyone has that kind of food. You know, some people might be brownies, but might be the same as peanut butter. Some people might be crisps. Whatever it is, that's their, like, bad food, if you like, that they fear because they don't have control over. And I think one part is, it's more the mentality side. So it's the way you view that food. So I would see it as, if I had a bit of peanut butter, I'd be like, that was so naughty. Now, if I was bad, I might as well be really bad and eat loads and then be sick. Whereas now, it's like, I have peanut butter and I often weigh it because it's so deceiving. You know, you think 15 grams is like this much, but it's really like this much. And so I often weigh it for that purpose. But it's like, I will eat it and I'll enjoy it, and there's no pressure around it. So it's like someone who really wants a brownie, they'll put all this pressure around it, and then when they finally eat it, they'll feel bad about it, and then they'll go feel guilty, or they'll hate themselves, or they'll purge it, or they'll kind of like punish themselves and not eat for 3 days. And that doesn't need to be the case. That is the unhealthy part, not the fact that you ate the brownie. That the whole mindset around that brownie is what is unhealthy. So my tip would be to just change your perspective. Like, say it's okay to eat the brownie, you know, don't skip meal 2 and 3, say, just for the brownie. Like, you deserve the brownie, and if it makes you feel better, go for a walk after, or do something that will make you feel good. Like, see it as you deserve. I'm not trying to say you have to go for a walk to earn the brownie. I don't believe in all of that either, but I just think people need to be deserving of their food and to enjoy their fullness. You know, some people don't like the idea of being full. I used to feel so uncomfortable. I'd feel thin if I was hungry and fat if I was full, and now I don't feel like that. Like, when I'm full, I'm content. And when I'm hungry, I'm like, oh my God, like, why am I, like, my body needs me to feed it. Like, why have I left it so long? That's if I see it work.
Right.
So my tips would be your mindset mainly.
I mean, I think that is everything. It's the root of every single thing in your life. And I sound like a broken record on my podcast, but I think it's like, think about what you're thinking and is it justified? Like, feeling bad about the brownie, is it really justified? And even if you had like pizza 6 days in a row and you didn't even, like, let's say you're eating more than you're expending, so like you are gaining a bit of weight, like, is it really justified to hate yourself for that? Like, there's no, like, it's irrational. And people know that for sure, but they maybe know it intellectually, but they don't actually let it sink in, and they don't put it into practice that they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, like, to make anyone listening who is recovering from an eating disorder, or who has one, or who's just realised they've got one, or whatever stage of it you're at in your journey, I still, to this day, I actually struggle now to eat enough for my goal of gaining muscle. So I, for 2 years now, have not had a coach, and I've tried to gain my own muscle, but I'm so afraid. I only once put weight on and my legs grew. So I put the weight on, I grew my legs, and then I dropped a bit of weight, and I saw the difference in my legs shape, but I'm struggling to do that again. Every time I say, right, today you're gonna train your legs and you're gonna eat more, and I just don't end up doing it. And I need to be eating at least another 1,000 calories on top of my diet to gain my goal, but I can't on my own. And I've now decided to get a coach, and I've had to, like, let it sink in that it's okay to gain weight, and I'm just gonna have to learn to love my body in a size that is in someone else's control. But the reason why I'm getting a coach is because they have more experience. They will tell me when we need to pull it back. They'll tell me what to eat. So I feel like if someone's telling me, here's your 3,000 calorie diet, I've got their guidance, and it won't get out of control because someone's helping me get my goal, rather than me doing it. And the last thing I want to do is gain weight but not gain the muscle, whereas they'll help me gain the muscle, which in effect will gain weight. That makes sense.
Right, no, that makes sense.
So I still need help to this day, almost 2 years on from not being sick, to help me get my goal. And I think another thing about eating disorders is it's food, and you need food to survive. And this is what I found quite hard, is I used to think, someone with a drug addiction, it's not as easy as this, but you take away the drugs and they don't need it to survive, although they might feel like it because it's a habit, but you don't need it to survive. Same with alcohol, but with an eating disorder, you need food to survive. But how do you do it when it's a problem, and it's this one thing that you need to survive, but that one thing is still a problem. So that is what I used to really, really, really struggle with, because I used to think, if only this was, I know it's bad to wish it on myself, but I used to think, if only this was a different problem, they could just take it away from me, and maybe I'd find it easier to recover from than food. And then it's also, an alcoholic, no matter if they've been off alcohol for 20 years, going to a pub will still be a challenge, because that is just in them. And that's another thing with people trying to recover is, you'll, like, there's this one girl who she posted something on Instagram, I forgot her name, but and think about, when am I going to feel okay about going to a restaurant? I still have these thoughts. And I thought, but you're doing amazing. And them thoughts might not ever go. You just have to accept that is maybe how you think. You think before you pick a food, you look at them and you go, and that's okay. It's so hard. Can't expect to just go how you was before the problem, because problem happened. And as a result, after, you might think more about what you eat. That's just because you're watching over yourself, and you still have to have that kind of control of not letting it get to that dark place.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think people are waiting for the moment where it will just get magically better. And it's like, no, those thoughts may just be there for the rest of your life. I think that they definitely become less and less frequent.
100%.
That's something to look forward to. And usually, just like with you, the thoughts will come in, and usually you can dismiss them. Usually it's not really a big deal at this point, whereas when you were first trying to recover, it was probably a lot harder. So yeah, I think it's not wishing those would go away. And I also think, I like that you admitted, like, I'm getting a coach because I'm seeking help. And it's like, everyone needs help on something in their life, no matter what. Like, I just signed up for a podcast course because I don't know. I mean, I know what I'm doing, but at the same time, it's nice to have help. And I have a life coach, even though I coach people, like, because I have issues in my life too. Like, you always need help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, I bet some of the top people have got mentors. It can be anything. I have a mentor that helps me, like, with my work. I'm now going to get myself a coach to help me with my goal of growing muscle. And I think if anything, I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing for people to have someone to be either accountable to, or someone, accountable to, not just for food or anything, but just goals or aspirations that you have in life, or someone that can help you with a bit more experience than you have. It's like valuable.
Yeah. I mean, looking for guidance, teachers is the reason that we have school.
Exactly.
So, and because of our technical difficulties, it's been like over an hour now, or it's going to be about an hour. So I think to leave my listeners with something, is there anything else, any other tips you want to give them, or anything you like, a must know while you're trying to recover?
A must know is, I would say that no matter how many times you fail, you just can't give up. Like, you might go, I remember going 100 days. I had this one thing I tried was, I had a calendar and I'd mark little sticker stars on the days I wasn't sick, as like a little win trophy thing. Great, a little sticker star because I haven't been sick today. And I hit 100 days, and that was my goal. And then once I hit the 100 days, shortly after, I purged. And it was like, why did I say 100 days? Why did I put that in my head? Because then it was like, it was okay to be sick after. And, it's just like, don't give up. You're going to fall 1,000 times. It's normal. And I think a lot of people might be like, oh, what's the point? This is me, and accept it. And it's like, no, keep going, because you're going to get further if you keep going than if you don't. If you just stop, then you're always going to be there. But if you keep going, you personally, you get stronger every single time. And I would say it doesn't define you, and just keep working on you. Like, no one else is going to do it for you, and you have to protect your circle. You have to protect your mindset. Even if you listen to affirmations every morning, if you go to the gym and exercise, everything in moderation. But I think just try and be strong, and I would just say don't give up. That's the main thing.
I think that's excellent advice, and I completely agree. Like, the biggest thing that the reason people fail is because they stop trying. And like, there's always, I like the thinking of the map of your goal, and here's the goal, here's you, and the how is going to be really different. Like, you're going to turn, take some more turns, fall, go back, but you'll eventually get there. You
will eventually get there. It took me 9 years. I tried so many things. Within the 9 years, I went like 6 months without being sick. Then something happened, and it was like, boom, I went to that. But what really proved to me is, I'll give you an example from when I was sick last till now. I last year I did it to myself. I was trying to buy a house. I said to myself, before I'm 30, I'm going to become a manager. And I got a managerial role. I literally was winging it. I was faking it till I made it. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was trying my best. And then on top of that, I was trying to compete. So I started to like diet to get on a stage. And on top of that, I moved out of my mum's into my partner's mum's house, who lives like a 1.5 hour drive away from where I was living, my work. And all of that stress, the travel, trying to book, viewings on houses, trying to also get to the gym and do an hour training, 2 hours cardio, trying to buy my food and prep my food, get to work and do a job that was in a restaurant. I went back into restaurants. It was like a ridiculous style. So it was like a salad buffet and continuous service of meats, all of that going on. And I wasn't sick once. If anything, I'll admit I was fired from my job because they felt like I wasn't giving it enough attention. I finally bought my house and I pulled out of the competition because I didn't feel like I had enough muscle for the category and it was just too much stress. And I thought I need to focus on what's important, which is my relationship, this house that I want to get, and looking for a new job. And I ended up getting a new job in a new restaurant, the only restaurant that there is of this kind in the city that I live in. And I planned the launch and everything. And I've just focused on the gym as more of like a hobby and a love and an escape rather than the pressure of getting on a stage. And my relationship's perfect to me. And I've got my house. So I went through so many bumps. And I'm just like, wow, I didn't purge through that, like, go me. And when I think about last year, I'm thinking, I did all that to myself. But instead of being sick, I accepted what happened. And I understand there's another thing coming to peace with it. So my mentor, when I went to him, I was like, oh my God, I got fired. And he was like, right, let's talk about it. And when we spoke about it, he was like, well, this is where you went wrong. And then this is where they went wrong. And he helped me really see it. And I came to peace with it. And I was like, okay, I get it. If I employed me, I see why. And if anything, it made me be a better person for my new job. And all them mistakes I made there, I don't repeat them at the new job, and I've grown as a person. So, and I've met people on Instagram at the moment that have gone through similar difficulties, especially during lockdown, where their wedding's been postponed, or they've had to move out of where they live because they can't afford it and move back in with parents, and they've gone back to that eating disorder. Because for me, I've said to them, it's because you are, everything's out of control, and the one thing you can control is your eating disorder, and that's why you've gone back to it. So I've kind of like taken them back a few steps, and then helped them realize, and helped them, like, guided them how to control each part of their life that they feel like they don't have control on, so that they don't go back to that eating disorder and they focus on what they can control out of the situation. So for me, that's what that's why I'm like, yeah, I haven't been sick for 1.5 years now, but from what I've gone through, that's how I know that I'm stronger, because everything I went through, I didn't deal with it with the eating disorder. I just took it heads on. I spoke about my problems. I took advice, and being sick wasn't going to help the situation. I needed to face the situation. So
yeah, I think because people think it's just a clean journey, and it's absolutely not.
Yeah. Nothing's a clean. I think anything you want in life, if you've got a clean road to it, you're very fortunate. Like,
no, nobody does. Like, even you can meet someone and think it's all perfect, but it's not. That's just not how life works.
Yeah, no, it isn't.
I think we could talk all day about this, but I'm gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
You're good. No, I think that you're very personable, and it's awesome to have you on this despite all the technical difficulties. For those of you guys listening, it has been a bumpy road, so she's a champ. So tell us where people can find you.
So I'm on Instagram as the girl who beat bulimia. My page has been up for 2 weeks at the moment, so give me some love, give me a follow, message me. I'm happy to hear from anyone. I'm happy to support anyone who needs it.
So that was the interview, guys, with Eleni. I really hope you guys enjoyed that. Please go show her some love on her Instagram. She posts a lot of inspirational things, and it's just a really wonderful, vulnerable, and important page. So I highly recommend you go check out her Instagram. And of course, if you're checking out her Instagram, check out my Instagram too. Give us both some love and follows. We're both new there. And then if you want to work with me, if you want to take these steps further, the best way to recover is to have someone helping you one-on-one along the way. And my coaching includes weekly coaching calls with me. You get 24/7 support from me. I give you a hotline to call and text if you need it in the moment. And then you also get a downloadable program. All of those things are how I coach you to recovery and beyond. So anyway, like I said, I am currently talking over this. I'm at my parents' farm right now. If you want to see pictures of that, you can go to my Instagram. I've been posting some stuff there. It's been really fun. I hope you guys have a happy 4th of July, or for those that you guys that aren't in America, I hope that you're just having an excellent weekend. I hope you're relaxing right now and appreciating the little things and enjoying life. If you guys like these interviews, let me know. All right, bye guys.